Hey friends, it's Michael Kostroff. Another week has gone by and I've got more thoughts on being an actor. I got a question from Tacy in response to an earlier video, and I love when I get your questions because then I don't have to figure out what to talk about. And Tacy writes, Michael, do you always try to memorize your self-taped auditions, or do you feel it's okay to hold and occasionally refer to the script? Or, if there are too many lines in too short a time, do you put the script up on the computer and read from there? Thanks. And I loved seeing you in Inherit the Wind. Oh, whoops, I read that part by accident. She saw my play. Thank you for that, Tacy. So as always, I always have several answers to whatever question you may come up with. First answer is yes, I do always try to memorize my lines. I find that the memorization process forces me to slow down and examine the evidence and come up with much smarter, more nuanced, detailed choices. So I always want to do that. By the way, one of the things I do is if I get the audition in and I don't, the audition appointment and I don't really have time to tape it, I will still make sure I read it right away. Because I feel like in the back of my mind, I'm sort of marinating on it and figuring things out and making choices even when I'm not thinking about it or when I'm not working on it. And so I will always try to memorize. And that's not always possible. So to your next question, do you feel it's okay to hold and occasionally refer to the script? Of course it's okay to hold and occasionally refer to the script. It's second best, I think, not only in terms of the presentation, but in terms of the prep work. Like I said, the memorization is helping me understand my character better and the scene better and the context and all of this stuff. So I do prefer to memorize. Or if there are too many lines in too short a time, do you put the script on the computer and read from there? Thanks. And I loved seeing you in Inherit the Wind. Oh, I read it again. I've used all kinds of tricks. I have taped up the sides on either side of my camera. Let's see, the camera is here. So, like one page here and one page over here on either side of the camera. I have a particular way of doing that, by the way. Maybe this is helpful. By the way, retyping the script or rewriting the script is also helpful in memorizing. What I've ended up doing is putting my lines in big, bold print and not putting the other person's lines so that I'm still listening, I'm still engaged. I learn what the cue is for my next line. I'm just putting my lines, and sometimes I'll just put the lines that are challenging that are hard to remember, so that if I have a short line like "yes, that's true" or "how would you know" or something, I don't need to put that on up there. We don't need to put all the lines up there. I can just put the longer speeches or something where I tend to fumble, so that I'm not looking away and reading too much. But that works quite well. You can't really tell that I'm reading. Here's a little hack on that, by the way. If you do this, we can see your eyes going back and forth. But if you sort of blur over and just sort of look at the whole page at once, it looks less like you're scanning. Try it, So I've taped them on the side of my computer or my phone, whatever I'm recording on. I know some people use a teleprompter very effectively, works really well. I've done that once, it was great. I don't have one, but I went to somebody's house who does taping for auditions. Really, whatever works for you in terms of that is fine. But none of these things are wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like you're the actor. Whatever you need to do your work is fine. What would it mean if it's not fine? I always ask myself, would a casting director dismiss my audition because of this? Like, would they go, well, Michael was perfect, but he looked at his paper 5 times, so we can't cast him. I don't think that's ever going to happen. The important psychological difference is this, okay? If every time I look down, I feel like I've failed or I'm fucking up, then that's going to show. If I'm like, But if I'm doing it with commitment, as if this is how I'm presenting my audition, and I'm looking down, loved you in Inherit the Wind, Um, I'm milking that for all it's worth. Um, um, if I'm categorizing that as fine, as not a failure, just the way I happen to be doing this audition, then it's not uncomfortable to watch. That's my theory anyway, you know. By the way, you don't have to write under this video. I know some casting director has told you if you're not off book, forget it. And some other casting director has told you they don't care if you're off book, because there are many casting directors with many different opinions, and that's that. I still maintain if you're the choice, and that's that. But yeah, I think those are all the methods that I have available to tell you about. But I think that our brains have more capacity than they say that we don't use our brain. We use a small percentage of our brains. I know I definitely use a very small percentage of my brain. I think our brains are more capable of memorizing than we think. And if we put aside the anxiety of, oh, I only have 3 hours to do it, or I only have this much time to do it, and just go, okay, listen, I've gotten to set and realized that the script was completely rewritten and nobody told me. And the way I got through those experiences was to get my coffee, sit down, and go, okay, here's the task at hand. Let's see what they've got. And not to waste any time on, oh, how could they do this to me, and blah, blah, blah. And so I think we do a lot of that stuff to ourselves, and we don't have to. I would say don't have anxiety about not being memorized. Don't have anxiety about memorizing. Just try not to have anxiety, and that'll be a lot more fun for people to watch. I hope some of these little tips are helpful. I probably have more than I'm not thinking of right now. Oh, well, I do always, again, record my lines and leaving gaps so I can repeat them. I already did a video on that, but again, I want to do those things as soon as possible. As soon as possible, I want to read it. I want to retype it. I want to talk it into my recorder. Even if I don't have time to work on any of this stuff, I can sometimes listen to it in the car, and that helps me memorize. But I do find that by just putting it into the computer, overnight, I find I've learned a lot more of it just by sleeping on it. Ask me more stuff. If I haven't answered this question thoroughly enough, then ask me more, and that'll be another video. But thank you, Tacey, for writing in. I'm appreciative that you entrusted your question to me, and I hope I've been able to help you. All right, friends, I'll see you next week. Bye.